There's an even fancier way we could be adding these. Right now, we're just manipulating inner HTML, which isn't the best way in the world to manipulate the DOM. It's fine. It works. But DOM elements are objects, as we've seen. When we grab them with query selector, we can see that they're objects. So what if we could just create one from scratch? Let's give it a try. We can fiddle around with the console for a moment. Document dot create element. Totally works. Element, if you can spell element. And you just pass it the string of what type of element you want to create. Oh, it suggests UL, like a list. That's a bulleted list. We can use a P or something that you're familiar with first. So I create an element P. Let's not forget to save that to a variable. Let's call it const P equals document.create element P. Check out P. Hey, it's a paragraph. The paragraph isn't on the page, but by golly, it's a paragraph. And we could say, set its text content. What's for lunch today, Gabby?
A peanut butter sandwich.
Twammiches. All right. Sounds delicious. Now let's check out P. Yeah. So how do we put it on the page? Well, what we can do is append it as a child to another element on the page. So let's work on this. So instead of just changing users inner HTML, let's build our new paragraph. Const P equals document.createElement, the string P. And since all the rest of that stuff is text, I am going to use text content instead of inner HTML. P.textContent equals username and age. So backticks so that I can still do string interpolation. Username, comma space, dollar, curly brace, age, curly brace. And then to stick that on the end of that users div, I can say users dot append child. Oopsie. Append child. And just pass it in that paragraph. Refresh. Does it work? What are you? How old are you? 91. Okay. Hey, it still works. Good. We did it. Go us. So we created a paragraph from scratch. We set its content. And then we appended it to that div. Just a slightly more object-y way to do the same thing. It's a little more work, but we're going to do enough stuff to these things eventually that this is actually going to become easier. Yeah?
Can you set the text content inside createElement, or do you have to do it outside?
What?
You have to create a new, you have to set each attribute after you initialize it.
Yeah, so the question, for the sake of the recording, is can you do stuff like set the text content and various attributes when you create element, or do you have to do them as separate things? If we don't know, we can always consult the documentation. And again, MDN, I think, is the best source for this stuff. That is developer.mozilla.org. Developer.mozilla.org. And let's just look up create element. Okay, here's the documentation for document.createElement. Creates the HTML element specified by tag name. So it looks like there's an optional second argument, options. An optional element creation options object containing a single property named is, whose value is the tag name for a custom element previously defined using customelements.define. See web component example for more details. Doesn't sound like what we're looking for. So it seems like create element is only going to create an empty element. This has to do with custom elements, which we're not messing with. So yeah, the answer is you do have to do it separately. You don't necessarily have to do them all on separate lines, but you cannot do it at the same time as create element. Cool. Let's see, did we do anything? Yeah, we haven't committed that yet, right? So let's move this from our working directory to our staging area using git add. From our staging area to our actual local repository with commit. Append the user as a proper DOM element instead of just using HTML, inner HTML.